Metal fans, welcome to the Metal Forever Music Defenders of Metal podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to defending the true metal faith, interactive show segments, interviews, tours, and metal music discussions. Now let's get on with the show.
All right. Good evening, everybody. This is the Metal Forever Music Defenders of Metal podcast. You guys had no idea it was that pro, right? To get started. Here we go. So tonight we're joined by two founding members of a band called Bloodstained Kingdom, Mead Bradley and Troy Yates. It's kind of interesting to see how things have evolved. We all kind of got together 6 months ago or so in the Catskill Mountains. At the time, Mead had some kind of solo material out there. We were talking to him a little bit about that. Troy has also some solo material, and in particular, an awesome killer song with Stu Block. And since then, the two guys have gotten together. There's another undisclosed secret metal location up in Wisconsin somewhere with a secret metal studio. You guys put together a band called Bloodstained Kingdom. You've got 4 tracks on the streets so far, which, by the way, I love, and we'll talk about that in a second, how you guys have been kind of rolling these tracks out to the metal world. And, and you've got some different singers, but you have one, it looks like he's going to kind of sit in with you all. So I guess we'll start with you. Let's tell everybody about just kind of Bloodstained Kingdom, how this thing has been coming together, and how the reaction's been so far. You guys have been 4 or 5 months into this so far.
Yeah, so we talked about it, like you said, at the retreat, and it was interesting because the single that I did in April, May of last year was called Bloodstained Kingdom, and Troy and I were kind of already kind of talking about doing a little bit of collaborative work, and when we finally got together and said, okay, we're doing this, and we're trying to think of what to call it, he's like, dude, let's call it Bloodstained Kingdom. That's a badass name. And I was like, I didn't think of it for a band name, but it worked, and it kind of, we talked about it, and we were both kind of on board with it. So the name kind of stuck, and so we just kind of, got together and decided we were going to actually sit down and write some stuff together, because we both had tracks that we had done individually. So he came out to Wisconsin here, to this undisclosed location in South Central Wisconsin here, the Mead of Metal studios here. But and we just sat down, and we didn't know what was going to happen. We just literally, he drove out from New Jersey, took him 2 days, and he pulls in my driveway, and we literally he got out of his truck. We came in the studio, and we sat down, and we just started like sharing riffs with each other. And next thing you know, it was like 2 hours later, and we already had a bunch of ideas kind of pasted together. And all of a sudden it was kind of like, holy crap, we should probably eat something and maybe get your stuff out of the truck, and all that. So it just clicked right off the bat. And so, yeah, we've had 2 of those sessions now where we get together and we write. And so backing up a little bit, we had this one track that we called Hellhounds, and I had lyrics written, and we were kind of debating who to have sing it. And we went around with a few different ideas, and I had seen on social media that Ripper Owens was in between tours, and he had posted, hit me up if you need vocals done. So I sent him an email, and next thing you know, 3 or 4 days later, we had vocals for Hellhounds, and it came out pretty awesome. He's a pro. So that was kind of how we got started. And it was really just Troy and I. We had Dan Presta playing drums on our individual singers, so he was playing on this track. And after Hellhounds, we just kind of started putting together. We kind of call it assembling the Avengers. We just got like these people together. So Dan Presta stayed on. We reached out to Dan Damon, who's in a couple other bands in New Jersey, and to play bass, and he was really excited to join in. And on the recommendation of Dan Presta, we reached out to Will Shaw, a vocalist who he's been in bands like Heir Apparent and Dead Risen and a couple other pretty well-known bands. And initially we started working with him as a guest And then recently we announced that he'd be our permanent singer. So we feel pretty confident now that we have a pretty kick-ass lineup and more tracks in the hopper. We've got like an assembly line of tracks coming at you every month for the year of 2026.
Awesome, awesome. And Troy, I was going to ask you. We were talking just a little bit before
Mhm.
we got started here this evening. I recently had a chance to interview Richie Faulkner, and he's got two bands now, Elegant Weapons and, of course, Judas Priest.
Yeah.
And the conversation was, different music, different riffs, and you kind of figure out, hey, what goes really well, knowing that you've had some, other solo material out there. And Mead, I know that you kind of write a little more, you like to do some of the thrashier stuff. But I guess, Troy, for you, like, how did you guys kind of blend these riff ideas together, and what type of style of metal, are you guys kind of classifying Bloodstained Kingdom? Not that it needs to be pigeonholed or anything, because that's
Yeah.
it, right. And I think those
Mhm.
four tracks have each one has a little uniqueness to them of their own. But talk about, your contribution to the creative side and the riffs and how you guys are kind of meshing everything together.
Right. So when we did get together the first time, it was I mean, we hadn't jammed before then. It was just kind of a leap of faith. I knew that we, just from talking, and I knew how he played. I just knew that if we got together without any kind of distractions, we would be able to, you know, something would come up. And anyways, so we started jamming, and you know, the heavy metal tree, right? It's got so many branches on it, right? And like Testament is kick ass, right? Well, but so is Saxon, so, but and they're not really, I mean, and they sound different. So, you can write like Slayer type riffs. There's all these influences that come around, or you can get more of more of a Badlands type thing, and it's like, so what we've first had to do is we just had this, like, just got it all out of our system. And then we said, okay, well, obviously we can play and write together. Like, what do we want to do? And I'm not really a fan of saying, well, let's just, whatever happens, happens, because then you're like, well, then you get a mix of, the Red Hot Chili Peppers with Slayer, and then, oh, I like this band, and then, Alice in Chains, and then nothing wrong with those bands on their own. But I think when you start mixing shit, and if you don't know kind of, what is your, I don't know, level set is not the right word, but you know what I mean? Like, what is the target you're trying to go for? But then from there, it's like, hey, look, I don't want to try to be, band A, B, and C, but I want to definitely be on that limb of the family tree, right? So so that way, when you're writing and you're like, ooh, that's kind of a Black Label Society, or kind of it's rooted in a Black Sabbath type thing. Maybe it doesn't fit in this particular, bucket. It's got to go in a different thing. So we try to keep it. So then we just determined, like, all right, hey, look, we're going to really go after that traditional metal sound with, two guitar players. So of course you're looking at, you know, yeah, you're going to say Iron Maiden, but maybe not as much, galloping, I mean, there's a lot of like European sounds, of course, Judas Priest, right? KK's Priest, Accept, Udo, any of these kind of bands, that they've got two guitar players, they got good melodies. The other important element is having a vocalist that has the range to be able to execute these songs and these themes that we're going after. So uh, yeah, it's harder to find somebody, but once you do find that type of singer, I mean, that's the recipe that we want to use. Two guitar players, double bass. If you can imagine people fucking chanting, or throwing their fists up in the air in unison at some kind of festival, like, that's the vibe. That's what it is. We're not looking to have a mosh pit or anything like that, but it's just a classic traditional heavy metal. And I'm not afraid to use that term. You know what I mean? Some people say, well, we can't be pigeonholed. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's pigeonholed. I think you could certainly chop it up and say, hey, look, this is kind of a, influenced by this. And I think that that's okay. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, when you say traditional or classic heavy metal, they're and you guys have been saying you're getting fans from all over the world, which
Mhm.
is really killer when you guys look at kind of who's responding and reacting to your music. to me. And and like you said, Will Shaw as a pure like metal vocalist, he's got the
Mm-hmm.
range. He could do the growls if he needs to, but
Yep.
very powerful voice. I think that's missing in a lot of the younger generation metal that I see.
Mm-hmm.
This grindcore, heavycore, and again, everybody has their different styles, but to me, that's when you look at true classic traditional metal, like you said, it's those dual axe guitars, it's heaviness, and it's a vocalist that can sing, right?
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, when you guys are looking for that singer and you guys found, I know Ripper did a great job on that first track. Awesome to get a guy like him with his pedigree, kind of kicking everything off. But then when you found Will, what kind of clicked for you guys with him stylistically and the way he kind of puts his lyrical content in?
Yeah, Mead, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of cool because I pretty much was writing all the lyrics for everything because I go through these creative spurts where I just write lyrics. I've got books full of random lyrics with crazy names and all kinds of weird themes and whatever. I
Awesome.
wake up in the middle of the night with these crazy ideas and I write them
Mm.
down. But so I was supplying the lyrics. I wrote the lyrics for Hellhounds, and Ripper took them and interpreted them and made them what they are. And I've done the same thing with the other 3 songs that Will sang on so far. And the cool thing about Will is he's got such great experience with bands from different, metal subgenres and what have
Mhm.
you, but he's a phenomenal musician and he's got a great ear. And so the first song we did, he was, he I'd send the tracks and he'd send back some, messages of like some feedback, like maybe we should do this here and maybe, cut a couple dBs out of the mix over here and do this to the vocal. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So he's just got a phenomenal ear. But then the other thing he does is he takes these vocals and he writes these incredible harmonies and parts that I never even thought of. Like,
Mhm.
so now we've kind of gone from being really prescribed and sending him everything that we want to just kind of like now we're just like sending him the music and saying, you know, make whatever suggestions you think are make the most sense to maximize the vocal potential of this song. And then he comes back. He sent us a clip yesterday of the track we're working on for May. And Troy called me and he's like, dude, did you hear that? Like, it's out of control. It's literally out of control. It's so good. So we've he's kind of worked his way in a really organic way to our writing
Mhm.
process that's just really kick ass.
Troy, what do you think, man? I mean,
Yeah.
I think. Well, it's funny. I wish it would been cool to have been there for your reaction because I know I happened to be with you. Fortunately, when
Yeah.
we got that first lyrical content back from Stu Block to your killer track Iron
It's the
Beast. And by the
same
way,
thing.
yeah,
I think the litmus test is when you get something back, and if you laugh, if you have a physical,
yeah,
yeah, if you laugh just like that, it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's
100%.
so man, it's just so I don't even know if encouraging is I'm trying to find the right word, but it's just so you're just so grateful, man. You're just like, okay, hey, I got this riff. And again, we're not trying to be dream theater, you know what I mean? Like you got to be able to fucking headbang to these songs, with one hand, playing the guitar or whatever. Like this is the spirit of this kind of metal. So then you serve up something that, it's not going to be too intricate, from the music, from an instrumental point of view, and then you turn it over to somebody like Will, and he just does his fucking like we don't micromanage him. We just say, "Hey, look, this is a song about kind of this. This is kind of the mood we're thinking," and then we get something back that just blows us away. Like I'm just like, whether you're in the music industry or not, it's like when you find people like this, best thing to do is just get out of their way and let them do what they do, right? So whether you're a
Yeah.
musician or you work in you work in a retail store, you got somebody who knows shit, knows what they're doing. Just get out of their way. Give them the tools they need to succeed. And like Mead said, this was we first started off with a couple songs, and again, we didn't have like a whole album's worth of shit. Like we're writing these songs, and this kind of went into like our overall strategy of the band. Like, nobody knows who we are. How do we use the internet to get our name out there? How do we use the internet to kind of make a place for us at the table, right? At the heavy metal table. It's like, well, who are these guys? It's like, hey, well, wait a minute. If we're gonna put out some quality metal, we need to have this kind of personnel. We need to have these ingredients, and I'm really proud of that. So what we did is, instead of writing 12 songs and releasing an album, we just said, hey, you know what? Nobody knows who we are, so let's just do one song at a time. We can refine it, like, me and Mead, we were looking to put a band together. So the first one, that's why with Ripper, it was good. It was just like, hey, let's just get it out there. And these days, every kind of self-help book you read, or any kind of, hey, how do you do it? Just get started. Just do something. I heard this thing, I really like it. It's this entrepreneur said something like, ready, fire, aim. So it's like, hey, just nothing's going to happen with you sitting on your hands. So get something out there, see what happens. And then that's what we did. And then from there, we just started refining, the writing process. I mean, we had to learn about, Instagram and all this other stuff, because again, we're not, we're not a known name, in this game. But it's like, okay, well, that's all right. We can still be new. I mean, we we like bands, some of these newer bands, Jet Jaguar, who's the other one? Steel, what's the
Wings
one,
of
Mead, that we
Steel,
like? Yeah,
Wings of
Wings of Steel.
Steel,
Like, there's
Yeah.
bands out there.
Tail
They
Gunner.
they
Yeah.
just these bands kick ass. Yeah, Tail Gunner, they kick ass so hard, and it's like, well, shit, what are we doing sitting around here? Like, let's get in this.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I
I
mean,
think what I like
it's
about what you guys are doing, and I think, again, like you said, we're in a whole different frontier now. There is
yeah.
no, like, playbook anymore, in the sense that, like you said, it used to be, hey, record a full length album.
Mhm.
Maybe you drop a single or two, maybe you tease a single, but it's always like a full album gets dropped. And I think what's happening more and more now is, people's short attention spans, people scrolling on their phones, looking at content for 30 seconds, and just this, once a month single drop, new album. I mean, I'm sorry, new song, cool
Yep.
artwork that goes with it. I like the way you guys are kind of putting some thematic, like intro tracks heading in, and it
Mhm.
kind of goes with the artwork, like, so the visual matches the music. And I think it's cool, man. I think, and I'm not surprised that, I think there is this, I don't know if it's underground, or there's like this swelling of like pent up demand for like traditional classic metal that is kind of underserved right now.
Mhm.
So this idea that you've got, almost like this little cult following started already, waiting to hear what the next track's going to be, and getting into the stuff you have. I think it's a great way to roll it out. And so I guess, credit to you all. I wouldn't be surprised if more bands start following what you guys are doing,
I don't know, maybe maybe
because
if
there's
I
no playbook for it, and I think it's
yeah,
cool. I think it's
M
awesome.
Mark, if I could just say something real quick about, like, so that was our strategy, like, we're just metalheads, man, and we fucking love this music so much, and
Yeah.
we see people doing it. So, Mead and I, we were like, hey, man, we want to get in on this. Like, this shit has happened. Like, there's no reason why we can't do this. Like, the technology is there now. We he lives 900 miles away. I mean, so what? I mean, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, um, our goal was to, we want to play some festivals, right? And, we've been in cover bands and stuff before where, people say, oh, yeah, hey, well, you're going to have to go play at the bar, and you're going to have to, do that scene for 15. Like, fuck that, man. We've already done all that shit. So let's just, like, literally skip that step. Like, what do we have to do to make it happen? Well, first of all, we need to have some songs if we want to play a set, right? And we want to play like Blades of Steel, or we want to play Keep It True, or any of these festivals, New Jersey Metal Fest, right? These are all these shows that they mean something, and these are the shows that support this kind of music. So, all right, well, what kind of stuff we're going to write these songs. They're going to be kick ass. We're going to be able to headbang to them. As a metal fan myself, like, this is the kind of thing I would like to see. Um, and then, so that's kind of how that strategy of release a song, every month, right? And then at the end of the year, package some of our favorite ones, release a EP, and then for 2027 we'll tour behind that effort. You know, which will include those, Milwaukee Metal Fest, those kind of things that are, that are on our radar that we attend as fans. And now it's going to be like, hey, look, man, we were fans a couple years ago. Now we're freaking playing on the stage, and making friends. Maybe we sell a couple T-shirts, and then, you know,
Yeah,
rinse and
yeah.
repeat. Do it again like that. That's like, what
N-
else are we
n-
gonna do? Like,
No doubt, man. No doubt. I think it's great.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess Mead, from your perspective, again, having these tracks and all these lyrics in the vault, I mean, there's got to be some level of satisfaction, for bringing this all to life. And
Yep.
like Troy, like you said, the sky. Look, there's no reason to say. Who knows? You end up playing Wacken one day, right? You don't know. Like open air and over. There's all these European festivals too. So you kind of build it, I guess, brick by brick, right? And so far, you guys are doing a lot of the right things. So, Mead, when you kind of look ahead and it's in the vault and you got this creative energy, like what's exciting you the most about this, and what do you think fans need to know? I mean, I think your authenticity is coming true through. You guys can tell you're true metalheads. That's what
Mhm.
I think fans resonate. It resonates with the fans. So, Mead, what are you excited about and looking forward to, and what do you want fans to know?
Well, I get excited every time another song comes together, and
Yeah.
we send it to the distributor and are just waiting for it to hit the airwaves. That it's like that anticipation. But I'm super excited about playing this stuff live because I think it's going to translate really well live. I think it's going to sound great live.
Mhm.
Um, I think the band that we've got, and it is a band, it's not just a bunch of guys that are emailing tracks back and forth. We have the mentality of a band, and, we talked about Will, but the other two guys need to get credit too, because they're both incredible musicians in their own right. Dan Prestup is probably one of the
Mhm.
most technically incredible drummers I've ever heard, or had the opportunity to play with, and he's, playing on our stuff.
Mhm.
And then Dan Damon, it's interesting because he's kind of a real groovy bassist. He plays 4-string bass finger style, like um, kind of classic groove bass. And when all these different styles, Troy mentioned earlier, we're not micromanaging anyone. We're writing the riffs and the theme of the song and everything, but everyone gets to be their own musician in the grand scheme of things, and it's coming together
Mhm.
and making the sound what it is. And I can't wait to play it live and see what it sounds like live. It's going to be pretty badass. So yeah, what should fans be excited about? Hearing some kick-ass kind of old school, traditional, classic, whatever you want to call the genre, metal, where um,
Mhm.
Troy and I joke around because there's a lot of these young guys now making traditional bands. They're in their 20s and they're looking like the 1980s and everything. Well, guess what? We were teenagers in the 80s. Now
Oh
we're
yeah.
kind of the OGs bringing it to life, um,
Maybe
now.
we can make
So
a maybe we can make a music video with some of these younger bands, and they can be like the younger version of ourselves or some shit, something like that.
but
It'd be kinda
I
cool.
think it's just
Love it.
cool that it's like an evolution. And, I went to a show here in Madison, Wisconsin earlier a couple weeks ago, and to see the diversity of ages there, um, was pretty wild. When I was 17, it was all 17-year-olds there. Now it's like guys like me with their kids and everything else, and it's just a whole different thing. So I think it's translating. There's bands out there, capitalizing on this new wave of traditional heavy metal that I've seen it called. Um, so I'm just psyched to hear it live and see. I want to go out and have fun. I'm not trying to be a millionaire. I don't want to get a Lamborghini and all this crap. And I just want to go out and play metal and have a blast doing it. So
Mhm.
what it's all about.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Well said. And I guess, Troy, talk about, so you talk about just the four tracks and their titles and kind of the vibe of like each one just a teeny bit, including, I guess, some of the cover art that you guys kind of are marrying up with them.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because we have a lot of the same. A lot of times, me and I will laugh because we say we share the same brain cell, and it's just fucking, it's just a lot of fun, man. Like I'm telling you. So the one Blade Oath, he said, "Hey, it's about this samurai," and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking, dude." I mean, it's this
Love
shit
it.
is stuff that we like, man. It's metal. It's got. I mean, what's not to like about a fucking samurai with like a demon face, right? I mean, that's bad as shit. So then I thought, okay, so had a couple riffs, and then while we're writing it, it's like we keep in mind the theme. So then, I use kind of some Japanese inspired guitar scale, for some of the riffs on that. And it was like, okay, yeah, man, this has that kind of flavor. This is badass. Again, because we're metalheads, the imagery, we're like, dude, what would I like drawn on my notebook? You know what I mean? If I'm ditching school,
Hell
uh,
yeah.
well, I don't know
We
if the
all drew
kids
the
ditch
logos,
school,
man, all over
but
over my yeah.
we still, that's stuff. It's not a phase. You didn't grow out of it. We still think like, man, if
Oh,
you
wait,
if
man.
you had Live After Death, airbrushed on your fucking jean jacket, man, like how badass was that?
Exactly.
This is the stuff that we like. So when we're writing a riff or we see some imagery that we like, um, yeah, I don't think it's silly or anything dumb. Mead he'll have an idea, it'll be like, hey man, do you think we should put some fucking wings on this skull? Like, yeah,
Hell
god
yeah.
damn it, and we need lightning too, like so that's
Hell
that's the
yeah,
thing,
man.
and I don't, some bands, of course, shy away from that, but man, I think fuck that, lean into it, man. That's the kind of shit that we like, and I said something the other day. I was talking to me and I said, man, do you remember like just this music, man? Like, we would hang out at like the bowling alley. You had a jean jacket, and the blue jean jacket had you could hold like your Marlboro Reds. You could hold two cassettes in each fucking side. So now you're armed with those. And then the other guy would carry like the D batteries. And then you're jamming to fucking, sabotage. The dungeons are calling. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe passing around a bottle of Thunderbird or some shit, right? Like that is the fucking, that memory is so real. And, when we write these riffs, like if there's a part in the song that's got a headbanging part, that's intentional. Like that's on purpose. That's because that is so kick ass, when you hear a bass line and the drums and the vocalist is getting the crowd going, you know what I mean? That's why we like metal so much. That's what it's all about, So uh yeah, man,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just really grateful to be able to do that. It's very hard. I mean, I would say for those people that are, if you're sitting on the couch or thinking, ah man, there's nobody to jam with, well, you might have to extend the net a little bit bigger and you might have to drive 900 miles, but fuck it. It's really worth it because, we booked a rehearsal studio here in Jersey for May. Now it's Mead's turn to travel out. So he's going to fly out. We're going to rehearse in a full band. I mean, it's, you know, put in the effort. I mean, to make this music, and we're really happy to be doing this and to be able to bring, not just as metal fans ourselves, but to the other people, to the fans that like this kind of music, to bring them some new stuff. We're really excited, and we can't wait to get this out there and share it with everybody. So,
Yeah, we have this thing when we get together at this Metal Mike Ultimate
Mm,
Heavy Metal Guitar Retreat weekend. We always joke about is it metal or not metal or if you're a poser.
yes.
But when I read these track titles, The Dagger Awakens, you already mentioned Blade Oath, Hellhounds,
Hmm.
Battle Axe. Like, dude, that's all heavy metal, man. Okay, so
Yeah.
and there's no shortage of imagery, right? I mean, between the battle axe and you guys haven't got into the chains and the Vikings but I'm sure all that shit's coming, right?
It's coming,
You
All
can bet on it.
the shields, it's all
Pre-
coming. I know it's
yeah,
coming.
pretty much anything
I mean,
just the cool shit that we remember, and it's
oh
like,
yeah, and I love the
man,
imagery around it. And like you said, for me, like you said, that's that when you looked at like those classic Maiden or Iced Earth albums, or
yeah.
it's
Hmm.
the imagery that's there that goes with the tracks, kind of brings it all to life. So I think it's gonna
Yes.
be great. Okay, so where can people find? And you guys are leaning into Bandcamp too, which is great because you have these platforms, like you said, that support independent emerging artists like Bloodstained Kingdom. So, where can people go to find the music and anything else you guys want to? I know we could talk heavy metal all night and keep
Oh
it
yeah,
rolling,
dude,
but we
it's
also know that attention spans are short too these days. So we want to
right.
get right to the point with everything. So, yeah, where can people find it? Yeah, where should fans look for it? And you guys got videos coming out too, right? You already have a lyric video for one of the couple of these tracks, right?
We got
Yeah,
one for
Mead, you want to go ahead and
Hellhounds.
talk about the YouTube?
Yeah, so we've got a YouTube channel, Bloodstained Kingdom, on YouTube. And it's everything's all the releases are on there, and there's a lyric video for Hellhounds on there. Um, but really we've got a website, bloodstainedkingdom.com. That's you can find everything there.
Hmm.
Um, in all of our social media posts, we have a link tree that can take you to all the streaming platforms and whatnot. But um, bloodstainedkingdom.com is where it's at. You've got all the songs on there that can be downloaded, um, and merch. We've got t-shirts with some of the cool artwork on them, and we're working on some more t-shirt designs to come. But yeah, bloodstainedkingdom.com, that's where it's at.
Awesome. Any parting words, Troy? Or I think
Yeah,
this was
so
great, man.
this
I
one,
appreciate you guys, taking time to do this.
Thanks for having us.
yeah, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. This one would be, I guess, for aimed at the promoters. I know when you're trying to put something together and organize 20 bands or something over the weekend. There's another band. I mean, if you need a reliable band that's going to be able to deliver, check out bloodstainedkingdom.com. It's it's going to be a good time. So I don't think you'll be disappointed. We got our passports. We're
Hey,
packed
ready
and
to
we
roll.
are fucking worldwide deployable, right? So, um,
Love it.
yeah,
Love
so
it.
this is going to be so next couple months, some more tracks will come out. We would be, I would say, we would really be ready to go at the end of 2026, and then into 2027, available for booking. So, um,
Awesome, awesome. And I think through the Metal Music Worldwide platform, much like you all, that platform's there because I want to help promote and draw attention to artists, emerging artists, professional artists. Keep heavy metal, like metal forever. I founded that thing like almost 20 years ago when it seemed like metal was dying, and then it always seems to stay around, right? But
yeah.
we're still at that inflection point, where our favorite bands are aging out, or unfortunately some are legends are passing on, and
Hmm.
like you said, there's some of these younger kids out there, but I think, we're right in the sweet spot, right? You got the history, you got the understanding of it all, but like, the maturity to kind of, deliver the goods on this stuff. So,
Hmm.
I think we're all, it's just out there, the metalheads know, right? We all know that we're part of this, I guess, brotherhood and community. And we just all love the music, man. And we love the celebration around it when we come to shows and being able to jam it in your car, no matter how you jam it, or at the gym. Um, we just want to keep it going, So appreciate what you guys are doing. I'm excited to see all the new stuff rolling out.
Hmm.
Love what I'm hearing so far. I know metal fans are going to do the same. So with that, guys, we'll give it a cheer. I don't know if that works. Here we go. Maybe it doesn't.
Oh,
Oh well. All right.
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll wrap it up tonight, and that's Bloodstained Kingdom, everybody, and we'll be talking to you guys soon, and we'll be looking at the socials and jamming metal soon together. So appreciate your time, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Mark.
Rock on.
Appreciate it,
Thanks,
man.
guys.